Hello, BookTube. I have a bit of a Thursday MegaStuff video for you here, little bits and pieces that don't really make a video on their own. This is my my iPad. Sometimes I use it like this. Sometimes I put the smart keyboard on it. It's great either way. And I don't have much in the way of MegaStuff to tell you. I don't have an AM reading update, for instance. I thought I would have one of those, but who likes reading? I do have a Nanowrimo update. I am participating in Nanowrimo I've been doing it for many years. I am writing a science fiction space opera type story, and I'm doing it in a way that I've never done Nanowrimo before. I'm pantsing. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I'm writing without knowing where I'm going. And it is turning out to be enormous fun. Enormous fun. It is. There can be, when you have exhaustively annotated and outlined and plotted a work, there can be an element of drudgery. It almost feels like drudgery to clothe all of that in your prose. It almost feels like an anticlimax. The excitement of invention is gone at that point. And what I know that the really talented among you would say, no, that's not true. The excitement of invention comes in how well you write each sentence. Okay, but I don't have any talent. So for me, this is a revelation. That suddenly the excitement of invention is there with me at my elbow in every single day's writing session where I just figure out where this story is going. That's just great. I'm having a blast. Absolutely having a blast. And I'm still making my word count. So this has been a revelation to me. This is something I should have tried a long time ago just to get outside my comfort zone. Just to say, I mean, there's nothing riding on NaNoWriMo, right? It's all for fun. Just to be able to say that I knew what it was like to experience this, I should have done this a long time ago. So I am now doing that. I am making my word count. My story is slowly progressing. And I am finding that the main objection that I had to pantsing during all the years that I objected to it isn't actually an objection at all. I always used to say, if you're pantsing, then you don't know what shapes your story is going to take, so you can't foreshadow any of those. You can't work in you can't fold it back on itself earlier in the story because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. And I've been realizing as I've been writing Bear a Burning Spear that you don't know that anyway. That's all revision. That's all for later. That's not for your first draft. No one's expecting you to be able to get all that stuff done in your first draft. Maybe if you plot the daylights out of the thing, you can. But even then, the whole point of NaNoWriMo is to get a first draft out of you. You can work on all of that other stuff, the foreshadowing, the folding, all that sort of nuance in your revisions. The revision's not part of NaNoWriMo. So I'm having a ball. I just wanted to report that. I'm having a blast, and I'm going to continue. Then the next little bit of MegaStuff involves comic books. I haven't given a comic book update in a while. And I have been, I don't go to my local comic shop anymore. Every once in a while, Mark Richardson and his wife will send me the latest issue of the Legion of Superheroes because they do go to their comic shop. I don't go to mine. It's not on any of my routes anymore. I would have to just go there, turn around, and come back, and I don't do errands like that. I barely do errands at all. But I especially not with pandemic cases on the rise in Massachusetts. I don't do that at all. I certainly wouldn't do. It used to be on my route. My comic shop used to be on a route full of other errands. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. The browsing as much as anything else. Now it's not, so I don't go. And the one thing I'm missing is that my beloved Legion of Superheroes has a monthly comic. Mark has been very nicely sending me those. But I have missed comics, so I have made a point of revisiting all of my collected issues. I have stacks and stacks of graphic novels, collected issues, omnibus editions, that sort of thing. And I have regular reading time in the bathroom. So I have been rotating through those, and the one that I just finished, even more impressed this time around than I was the first time. It's this big thing. This is an anthology of it. Fantastic Four Omnibus by the writer is Matt Fraction, and I remember when this was happening. The Fantastic Four split in two with monthly issues. So there was the Fantastic Four starring Reed Richards and Sue Richards and Johnny Storm and the ever-loving Blue-Eyed Thing. And then there was also a comic at the same time called the FF that starred the Scott Lang Ant-Man, who's become famous now because of Paul Rudd and the movies, and She-Hulk, and Medusa, the queen of the Inhumans, and a pop singing sensation who is Johnny Storm's girlfriend. Doesn't have any superpowers. In the course of those FF issues, she is issued the Thing exoskeleton that Ben Grimm used for a while when he was no longer the Thing, and that allows her to to punch above her weight on the team. And the story starts out with Reed Richards realizing that the very cosmic rays that gave him his superpowers are starting to deteriorate him. They're essentially giving him cancer, and he needs to find a cure, but he doesn't want to worry his family, so he doesn't tell them. Instead, he proposes they go on a year-long adventure in a spaceship to alternate dimensions and all sorts of foreign worlds and places like that, as a way to get back to their roots as astronauts, as adventurers. And what he's secretly hoping is that on that mission he will discover a basis for a cure. But he doesn't immediately tell his family that, and they decide they will go. And they have worked out a chronometric displacement technology to the point where they'll only be gone for 4 minutes. But even so, Reed Richards thinks it's important that there be a Fantastic Four, even for those 4 minutes. So he asks Scott Lang to assemble those other 3 and make a Fantastic Four of their own. And also lead the Future Foundation. FF stands also for Future Foundation, which is essentially a large group of children that have been assembled over the last 50 issues of the Fantastic Four when this came out. And I didn't know what to make of that split, and then it happened. Of course, the Fantastic Four launched their spaceship, and of course something goes wrong. Ant-Man is looking at his watch, 4 minutes pass, and the FF does not return. And then the storyline splits into alternating issues. Now, let me show you here. I want to show you, because it's drastically different what's going on here. 1 month of issues is drawn by Mark Bagley. Some of his best work, but very standard comic book artwork. Just incredible. Let me get you the Thing here, because it's not the Fantastic Four without its clobbering time. Yeah, there we go. Those issues follow the Fantastic Four. They're drawn by Mark Bagley. They follow the Fantastic Four on those adventures. But the issues at home, the issues at the FF Foundation, are drawn by Mike Allred, and they are very, very different. It's not the usual kind of artwork. It's very strange. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out. You'd probably have to watch. It's very... I'll give you another example here. Very cartoony. There is Medusa introducing her teenage son, Uhura, to the rest of the group. Scott Lang keeps getting his name wrong. At first I didn't like it. Allred's drawing. At first I didn't like it at all. I remember the sequence that did it for me. Let me see if I can find you. At one point, the team encounters the old Fantastic Four character, the Impossible Man, who can transform into anything. And the Impossible Man, turns out, has a son, Adolf Impossible, the Impossible Boy. And he's just out of ideas trying to raise the kid, has no idea what to do. And so he asked Scott Lang if maybe the FF Foundation can take Adolf Impossible. There is little Adolf Impossible. If they can maybe take him in and help him out. And at first he fights them. He doesn't think he needs any help. And it's Medusa, who is a mother and a queen and who's been a member of the FF before, who gets through to him. She says, "My job, Adolf, what do you think my job is? I am a queen, a wife, a sister, a warrior, a leader, a teacher, and most of all, a mother. So what is my job? In all things, what is my job?" And he says, I literally have no idea what you want me to say. And she says, "It is my job to protect children." Do you understand? From anything, no matter what. And it works. It works. That works to bring him on board. But even though he comes on board, the other kids don't have any idea how to get through to him. And at one point, I have to show you this if I can. Yes, here we go. At one point, they decide to give him comic books. Maybe that'll help. And it turns out in the Fantastic Four comic book, the Impossible Man is portrayed as a supervillain. And Adolf Impossible says, "My dad's not a supervillain." And the kids have to explain to him using, I might point out, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. Using that, they explain to him Stan Lee's color choices. Absolutely virtuoso. the bright colors, the blues, the oranges, the reds, signify heroes, and that green always signifies villains. Kang the Conqueror, Annihilus, Doctor Doom, the Hulk, Mysterio, the Mole Man, the Skrulls, and also the Impossible Man. They point out to him that just categorically, according to this, that he has to be a supervillain, and he grows horns and chases the little kids. But the second storyline, the FF storyline here, has a lot more going on than the normal Fantastic Four issues, because Scott Lang in this storyline has lost his daughter, Cassie, who was killed by Dr. Doom. And Scott Lang has a goal throughout the whole of these FF issues, and that is to destroy Doom. At first, to kill him. Then later on, he realizes, no, that's not right. You don't kill. But I want to destroy him. I want to take away everything that he has. And the climax of the FF storyline is him and his unlikely team actually managing to make that happen, including a character I've never actually gone and checked to see if this character is part of Marvel continuity. But Scott Lang assembles every single thing that he possibly can. They need a horde of robots. He assembles a horde of robots. They need technological safeguards against Doom. He assembles those as well. He also realizes since Doom is also a sorcerer, he realizes that he's going to need a sorcerer to help. And he recruits one of those, again, using chronal displacement. He goes back in time to recruit a sorcerer. Now, let me see if I can find the moment. It's a great moment where this sorcerer, I think, what's his name again? Zadok, something like that. Here, I'll get to it. I'll find it. Yes, there we go. Dakor, D-A-K-O-R. I haven't checked to see if he's actually a character in continuity from years and years ago. But when it comes time for them to assault Dr. Doom in Latveria, his kingdom in Latveria, one of the things they're going to do is assault his mystic defenses, and that is for Davok to do. And here we see him weaving his spells and getting ready to assault Dr. Doom's mystic defenses, and he says, "Ha! I thought you said this Doom was a mighty sorcerer. He's nothing but a dabbler, a dilettante. Doom's magic is all flash and show and illusion. It only looks powerful. True magical power requires a piece of its user's soul each time he casts. This Doom is the sort who refuses to pay any price at all. I fought his kind before." And that's when you know, that's the earliest point you know that Doom is just going to lose, and he's going to lose completely. And the thing that amazed me about it when I first read these, and that amazed me when I was rereading it, is that that strand of this double-stranded narrative totally rules over the normal Fantastic Four. It totally rules over that. It's so much better that even now, I just finished reading this on the Seed of Ease, and even now, this is my third time through it, I still don't know the details of the cure that Reed Richards finds for himself and his teammates. The whole point of the story. And it's in the Fantastic Four issue, so I still don't care about it enough. All I care about is the incredible climactic confrontation between Scott Lang and Dr. Doom. And Allred's art is incredible throughout. Just amazing. So that's the comic book. Is that I'm so glad. I think I sprang $25 for this collected edition years and years ago, and read through it then, and then just threw it on the pile. And I'm glad that I resisted the urge to get rid of it, because it's given me an enormous amount of enjoyment to go through again. And then we have the last bit of MegaStuff is mail. A few pieces of mail and a box. And the box looks like it came from one of you. So there could be a scolding a-coming. Let's see what the first one is. What is this? Okay, this comes out in mid-January, and I have a million pages. This comes out in mid-January from the folks at Soho. This is by Raimundo Mata. No, this is by Gina Apostol, and it's called The Revolution According to Raimundo Mata. There are two ways of spreading light, the Edith Wharton quote goes, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. In her award-winning novel, Gina Apostol once again reminds readers that such mirrors are often the funhouse variety. In this author's writing, the candle is almost always a conversation about history. She is obsessed with history, both taking delight in the minutiae of its stories and cynically skewering its practices to great comedic effect. She is a postmodern writer, but somehow manages to straddle both the older, more playful sense of the word, comparisons to Calvino, Borges, Vonnegut, and Nabokov all appropriately turn up in reviews, and the intersectional definition we more commonly use today. All of this is delivered via a deprecating sense of humor, self or otherwise. And this book was originally published in the Philippines in 2019. So, is it translated? One wonders. Oh, well, there's no translator credited, and surely there would be. No, there's a translator's note. Editor's preface. Yeah, there's a translator's note. Along and footnoted translator's note. The translator's note is written by Dr. Dewata Drake, but the translator is not credited. Okay, I'm going to have to dig into that. And see what's going on. This was originally published in the Philippines in 2009, where it went on to win the National Book Award and the Gintong Aklat Award. Raimundo Mata has never been published before outside of the Philippines, and this author took the opportunity of Soho Press's American publication to expand and revise the original text, an act in perfect keeping with the book itself, which takes the form of a recently discovered and seemingly impossible text left by the fictional revolutionary Raimundo Mata. This fictional memoir traces Mata's childhood, his education in Manila, his love affairs, and his discovery of real-life writer and revolutionary Jose Rizal. Mata's moving and richly told story is, in true Apostolian manner, constantly disrupted by a trio of quarrelsome academics and their increasingly outlandish arguments across the text. Okay, I'm kind of liking this. I'm kind of liking the sound of this already. Those of you in Manila, do you know this author? It sounds like there's a rich writing history here that I know nothing about. Fantastic. Okay. Well, it doesn't come out until January, so it's not on my radar immediately, but that sounds terrific. All right, let's see what this next one is. Looks like another advanced copy. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is another advanced copy. This is coming out in late February. So again, it's not on my radar at all. I'm just going to put it on a pile and not even think about it. This is by Jack Livings, and it is The Blizzard Party. In Jack Livings' new novel, New York City has just shut down. The schools are closed. There's panic in the air. All but essential workers have been contained to their homes. This isn't COVID. It's the blizzard of 1978. Remember it well. At the center of the Blizzard Party is 6-year-old Hazel Saltwater, daughter of the tortured writer Irwin Saltwater, who lives in the Appellees, a stately apartment building on the Upper West Side. The main events of the Blizzard Party, as one might guess, is a party. On the night of February 6, 1978, amid blustering winds and eerily quiet streets, Hazel's mom drags her to the Vornado's penthouse, but her dad stays behind, ultimately getting tangled up in another saga entirely, one that eventually inspired his own novel recounting the night's events, also titled The Blizzard Party. With each new character we encounter, we find ourselves delving deep into another backstory, one neighbor's tragic loss of a grandchild, another's invention of an extreme sort of immersion therapy. Thus, The Blizzard Party consists of stories within stories within stories, a winding, panoramic novel that takes place on a single night, but also decades past and future, stretching back to World War II and drawing forward to Hazel's personal losses on 9/11. Good Lord. Another summary that's making me want to read the book right now. I won't do that, but still, that sounds fantastic. Okay, that sounds fantastic. So who is Jack Livings when he's at home? Oh, then, oh my. Well, this is the problem you get with an advanced copy. The note about the author is completely blank. Most of them should be left that way. But now I'm curious to know. Okay, great. Fantastic. All right, so those are 2 books that are coming out in the new year. And then we have this box. It's heavy, and it's taped, which leads me to believe that it's from a normal person and not one of my beloved book publicists. So let's take a look at what we have here. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh. Okay, the other day I got, actually, am I going to be able to do this without destroying the whole world and everything in it? Am I that much of a booktube professional? Yes, I am. Look at that. Smooth as silk. The other day I got this. The Big Book of Espionage. You can tell from the fact that I had to winkle it out from underneath my tripod, it is literally on my nightstand. I am lovingly pouring my way through this. I read through the whole of it, but I'm going back and rereading, especially stories by authors I don't know at all. So I've been absolutely enjoying this. This is a gigantic forthcoming collection. I think this comes out in November. A gigantic forthcoming collection of espionage fiction. When does this come out? Yeah, late November. Edited by the legendary Otto Penzler. And I was, when I unpacked it in the mail, I was singing the praises of these big book series, saying these are all just fantastic. And I mentioned that one of the earlier volumes, these Black Lizard volumes, the one that took off, the one that got people chatting in book columns in New York and in Chicago and California, was the Big Book of Pulps. Someone sent me, one of you sent me, you know who you are, thank you so much. One of you sent me this. The Big Book of Pulps. This is, I had a blast with this volume. I'm pretty sure that when this came out, I was not actually in the reviewing game. This one is entirely full of authors you've never heard of. This came out in, 2007. This came out in 2007, right when Open Letters Monthly was beginning. And I was just beginning in 2007 to reintroduce myself to publicists and to publishers, to let people know I'm not dead. I'm actually still alive and I'm getting back into book reviewing. Could you start sending me books? So I don't think I got this originally. I saw it in bookstores and I saw it get written up in a lot of interesting ways, but I don't think I got it myself. And I mentioned that when I unpacked the Big Book of Espionage, I mentioned that I didn't have this, and one of you sent me this. How very nice. Thank you so much. Of course, in the meantime, in between the sending of this book and now, a number of you have also sent me the ebook of this thing, which is also very nice. My ebook collection is growing by leaps and bounds. So that's fantastic. It's fantastic to have a big floppy paperback. You just know this is going to go on my nightstand too. You just know it is. When I'm done with the Big Book of Espionage, I'm going to go right on to this. The only one that I'm missing now that I really want in a finished copy is the Big Book of Men's Adventure Stories. Those look like lots of fun. So that's fantastic. That is the mail. We have the Big Book of Pulps, and then 2 books from 2021, both of which sound fantastic. The Blizzard Party. Finally, the Blizzard of 78 getting some fictional rep. And The Revolution According to Raimundo Mata, by a Filipino author that apparently is very inventive and has a penchant for humor. That is terrific. I want to know more about her. But there is one other thing before I leave you to your own devices. There is one other MegaStuff bit that I wanted to make sure I mentioned. I haven't mentioned it in a while, and there was a reason for that. In addition to everything else, in addition to appearing like the Virginia Creeper in so many publications, and having this BookTube channel, and having my own online literary journal, Open Letters, which are all free to read, and there's a wonderful, wonderful app. If you go to your favorite app store, no matter where it is, Android or iOS or whatever, and type in Open Letters Review, you will find an app, and it is endless amounts of great reading. But in addition to all of that, I was approached by the folks at the Cedarburg Public Library to do a podcast for them. And since I was, at the time, the only person left on earth who did not have a podcast, I said yes. So the Steve Donoghue Show started appearing on the Cedarburg Public Library podcast page, and also live on their internet radio station every day at, I think, 6 o'clock Cedarburg time. I'm not 100% sure of that. And when that started happening, I started listing that in all of the boring information down below. The Gmail that a lot of you use, and I couldn't be happier. The Patreon that all of you ignore. the Twitter, the Instagram. I started listing the link to the Cedarburg page in that information. And then I stopped. A few of you actually noticed that I stopped. And the reason I stopped is because I hit a doldrum, weirdly enough. I could not figure out how to do a podcast. My podcast is not long, first of all. It's not one of those things where you're going to have me nattering in your face for the whole time that you cook your jambalaya. It's 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Each one is 5 minutes or 10 minutes at the most. It's just a little extra burst of Steve in the day. But I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to do it, because I need an audience. Whether it's a bunch of friends like you, whether it's a bunch of readers like the readers that I have when I publish a review. For this podcast, I didn't have any feedback at all. I had no way, aside from my producer, who's a saint, I had no way of knowing whether I was doing a good job, whether or not it was in any way enjoyable, whether or not anyone was listening, although he was constantly showing me that our ratings are really good. It felt like I was howling into the void, and despite what you might think, I don't actually like to do that. I like to howl at people. But recently, somehow, I don't know how long it'll last, I hope it lasts forever, recently I got my mojo back for that podcast. Recently I started thinking, well, you know, it's just one extra thought, something that you didn't cram in anywhere else in all of your other venues during the course of the day. It's one extra thought. No one's asking you for 40 minutes. And so I've started doing that again, and I did that all week long. And so there are a bunch of new episodes up, and I'm going to put that listing back in my information down below, and I encourage you to go and check it out. The more I guess that my producer can tell how many people are listening to this thing somehow. I don't know the technology, but apparently he can tell, and apparently the numbers are quite good. So I just thought I would list that down below, that the Steve Donoghue Show rides again, and I hope will go forever now that I've got over my little crisis of conscience. So that's it. That is our MegaStuff video for today. A whole bunch of odds and ends. And I'm gonna end it here so it doesn't go on for another 20 minutes. But I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.